welcome back to my channel. So I'm literally sat in my pajamas filming this because who can be bothered to get dressed on their day off work? So I thought today we would read another scary story. The light on my face is going to change because of my phone. So this one is again it's on Reddit and it's called There's Something Unnatural in the Rocky Mountains, and it's got pictures included, so I thought that would be a really good one to read. And it's by Worcester Street. I'll write the name on the screen and I'll link it down below in the description box as usual. So let's just jump right in. We've gone to visit my wife Sarah's family every summer since we got married 4 years ago. They live in a small town way up in the mountains. Her parents own a lot of land, so we would spend our time riding ATVs and hiking trails. Here's a picture I took of their house a while back so you can see the kind of place. A while back I took a week off work and we drove up to spend the time with Sarah's parents and siblings. It was a good time and the week passed way too quickly. Sunday rolled around and we loaded up our crappy old sedan for the drive home. We left their parents' place in the late afternoon and had started winding our way down the mountain towards the highway when Sarah sighed. "Great, check it out." She handed me her phone. It showed that the highway was red with traffic for something like 25 miles on the highway. Must have been an accident. I guess we'll be sitting in traffic for a while, Sarah said. I pulled to the side of the road and pulled out my own phone. I saw that there was a long winding road that cut through the mountains for nearly 50 miles, finally rejoining the highway after the traffic ended. I figured that going slow on an old windy road was better than sitting in stop and go traffic for 5 hours. You never take back roads in these stories, okay? If you haven't seen Wrong Turn, go watch it and you'll see exactly why I say that. Sarah was very against the decision. Rightfully so. When I asked her why, she just told me that she had a bad feeling about it. Still, somehow I convinced her that we'd be fine. So instead of turning right and heading down towards the highway, we turned left and headed deeper into the mountains. The road turned to dirt pretty quick. Sarah jumped into the back seat so she could stretch out and she recorded some of what we saw out the window. I was shocked at how deserted it was. We only passed one house over the entire hour and not a single car. Sarah recorded some of the video of the drive, which you can see here. We'd been on the road for a little over an hour when we came up around a hill. Up ahead there was a single crashed car just off the road. I pulled off to the side and got out to take a closer look. I grabbed my phone to call 911 but realised I had no signal, not even roaming. I came around to the driver's side of the car and saw the driver's window was shattered with no sign of them anywhere. Sarah walked to the front of the car and put her hands on the hood. The engine's cold. That means it's been at least a couple of hours since the crash, right? Are we the first ones on this road to drive by, she asked. I told her I didn't know, but that it could be with how few people we'd seen. Sarah pointed to the broken glass from the window. It seems like a lot of this glass is inside the car. If the driver busted it to get out, wouldn't it make sense that it'd be on the ground beside the car, she said. She was right. The inside of the car was littered with the safety glass from the window. I looked closer and saw flecks of blood covering some surfaces too. Where's the driver though? I didn't like that. I told Sarah it was time to go and that we'd call somebody once we had cell signal. She agreed and we hopped back in the car. I turned the key in the ignition and heard the rapid clicking noise that meant my battery was dead. Of course it is. I popped my hood and saw that there was a bunch of corrosion built up on the battery terminal. I swore under my breath. "What does that mean?" Sarah asked. I told her it meant there wasn't a good connection between the battery and the motor, and that the battery was probably dead. We could fix the corrosion, but we'd need a jump to get the car started again. I talked the problem over with Sarah. We were already dozens of miles from my parents' place, and we had no signal. Based on the car wreck, it was likely we wouldn't see any more traffic for hours at best, and days at worst. On top of all that, the sun was starting to get low in the sky. We needed to find someone with jumper cables. I remembered that we'd passed a house a few miles back on the road. I figured it'd be best if Sarah stayed with our car on the side of the road, so I started walking back up by myself. It took me a little more than an hour of walking before I saw the house again. The house had a strange architecture, with part of the top floor hanging over the lower floor. I saw there was a small garage in the woods behind the house. I took a picture, which you can see here. I walked up to the door and knocked, calling out as I did. There was no answer. I walked to a window next to the door and looked through. The inside was abandoned, but I saw that there was a message scrawled on the wall. I looked closer and could just barely make out the words. It said, "They can't see you if you don't make noise." I read it over and over. They can't see you if you don't make noise. What did they mean? I checked my phone again but still had no signal. I yelled out for help but heard nothing. Judging by the state of the place, I figured it must have been abandoned. On top of everything else, the sky was starting to get dark. I made my way towards the garage behind the house and kicked in the door. The inside was in fairly good condition still. There was an old cabinet against the wall. I opened it up and saw some rusted jumper cables and a flashlight sitting on the shelf. I figured the battery in the crashed car might still have enough charge to jump my car, so I grabbed both of them. At this point it was completely dark outside. I started walking back toward my car and was happy to see that the flashlight still worked. I was alternating walking fast and running. Something about the house and message had given me a bad feeling, and I was eager to get back. I was walking alongside the road when I heard a scuffling sound out in the woods behind me. I stopped and looked back for a long moment, and that's when I saw movement out the corner of my eye. See, I would have been gone. I would never have turned off the car in the first place, but I would have been out. I turned my flashlight forwards and saw a creature standing behind a tree. It moved its head in an erratic motion, constantly twitching. It looked like a gigantic spider with a human head. Its eyes reflected the light of my flashlight like headlights. I heard more motion in the woods behind it. I locked my muscles in place. I gripped my phone hard and accidentally pulled the volume button, which I've set to take a picture on my phone's camera. My phone made the clicking camera noise. At the sound, the creature snapped its head in my direction and began moving around the tree. I pulled back my arm and threw my flashlight as hard as I could behind me on the road. The creature looked back behind me and with its spindle legs started walking towards the flashlight. I noted that it moved pretty slowly. The moments it took to walk by me were an eternity. When I saw it was a dozen yards away, I started running down the road and didn't look back. Here's the picture I took. I wish I hadn't looked at that. Let me know what you guys think about that, because that is creepy. After an eternity, I reached my car completely out of breath and full of adrenaline. Sarah opened her door and got out. "Hey, you find any help?" she asked. I yelled for her to stay in the car and ran out to the crash car. I reached my hand in the broken window and popped its hood, then ran around and pulled out its battery. I attached the cables I bought to both batteries and Sarah turned over our car's engine. I ripped the cables off and slammed the hood shut, then jumped into the driver's seat and sped down the road. Once we made it home, I told Sarah about what happened. She started bawling and told me that she'd heard stories while growing up about the valley that we'd been in, and that it was the reason that she was hesitant earlier. She never imagined there was anything to them. I don't know what to think now. If I find anything else out, I'll update here. So, that was a good story. But I thought that was a really good story. I'm hoping that they have some other stuff to put in. Hope you guys enjoyed this story. Let me know if you want me to do another one, if you prefer ones that have like pictures and stuff, or if you prefer ones that don't. Yeah, let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to give me a thumbs up, subscribe, share, and I'll see you on the next one. Chase us down.